Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back once again to the Big Data Ecosystem. My name is Eric Cavanaugh. I'll be your moderator. For today's demo, we're very excited to have the folks from Platfora in the ecosystem, and we've got Peter Schlamp who's going to show us what they've been working on, and it's very interesting stuff. So with that, Peter, show us what you got.
Thanks, Eric, and thanks for the time this morning. So this is Platfora Big Data Analytics, and this is Platfora version 3.6. And so Platfora Big Data Analytics is a platform which is targeted at enterprises and really serves the needs of multiple users within an enterprise, from the IT users to data scientists to the C-suite, and of course the people that we really empower the most is the business analyst. And so this demo that I'm showing today is going to cover some of the different workflows that various people within the organization would use. And of course, I want to start by emphasizing that Platfora is native to Hadoop. And so when somebody is using Platfora, the first thing that they think about is how do we get data from Hadoop into Platfora? And so what you're looking at here, this is our data catalog. What you're looking at here is a set of data sets or a whole list of data sets that an organization has developed over time as they've been using Hadoop. And we find that many customers start to do this. They start with a couple data sets, and then over time, more and more come around. Now, as an IT user, I need to get my hands on this data, and I need to be able to make it available for the other people within my organization. And so the first thing I'll do if I'm an IT administrator or a data administrator would add a new data set to Hadoop. So if I click Add Data Set, you'll see in Platfora, you'll see a variety of different sources that I can pull data from. In this case, these would each be instances of Hadoop, of Hadoops, so to speak. Here you'll see that we have a couple different S3 buckets. Of course, Platfora supports Amazon S3 as well as all of the major Hadoop distributions, including Cloudera, Hortonworks, MapR, and Pivotal. Here we'll see we've got one demo source, which is a Hadoop demo source. And after a couple seconds, we'll get the full listing of all the files in that demo source. I'll go over to the uploads directory and show you some of the files that somebody could bring into Platfora if they wanted to. In this case, these are files that people just clicked upload on, and they selected a file from their local desktop, and then they clicked upload, and then it became part of the Hadoop data repository. So I'm going to cancel out of this, and I'm going to go back and go back into a different persona. The user here, of course, would be a business analyst. So now you're a business analyst at a large organization. For the sake of this demo, this is at an organization called Bullseye.com. Bullseye.com would be a major online retailer that has web-click data. And as a business analyst at this company, I have a problem, which is I want to understand the data that I want to understand the way that customers are coming to my website and what they're doing. I've got a particular problem today, which is I need to sell more of a certain type of vacuum on my website. And so in order to do that, I've got to combine data across web clicks, which is a massive data set for my company, along with some user information that I have, which is typically stored in my data warehouse. Now, with Platfora, we've got all of those data sets right here on HDFS. And I'm going to go and I'm going to filter down to my Bullseye Customer Analytics data sets. We see we've got clickstream data, user data, which was the data that we pulled over from our data warehouse, as well as a cookie data set, which we generated from our clickstream data. So I'm going to click on the clickstream data, and we'll see all the fields that are available to me to be able to use. We've got 74 fields that are available to me. And with Platfora, we're able to take a company from petabytes of raw data in Hadoop to terabytes of data in memory to analyze. So if I'm a business analyst, if I don't have the data already available to me in memory, I can go and I can actually select the data that I want to be able to use. And so I'll do that by clicking Create Lens. And so I will call this lens for Lore Demo. And from here, I can add a description to the lens if I want to allow other people to use it, and then I can choose the metrics and the dimensions that are interesting to me. And so in this case, I chose browser, maybe the device that people were using to come to my website. And I'm also going to choose a granularity of the data. Of course, if we're going from very, very large scale data down to data that's manageable, I need to select a grain of data that is small enough to be able to analyze in a short period of time. And then of course, I need more data later. I've got the ability to go back and get that. So in this case, I'm going to choose month as my level of granularity. And then I'm going to click build. So we're going to schedule this job to build lens for Platfora Demo, comprised of 6 fields. I'll click confirm. And in the background, what Platfora is doing is we're actually leveraging Hadoop to build this in-memory data mart for us. You can think of a lens as a personalized data mart. It's something that this process right here would typically take a company months and months of time to do. On average, creating a new data mart takes about 9 months. Adding a new column to a data mart takes about 9 weeks. And so the process that we're going through here, by the time that we're done with this demo, we'll have a new lens that's created for us. This is something that would take weeks and go down to literally minutes for access. Now, of course, I don't want us to wait in the demo, so I've already created a lens called Bullseye Lens, which we'll use for the rest of our analysis. So from here, I'll go over to Visboards, and I will go back and filter down to our Customer Analytics Visboards. And this is where the business analyst can go in and discover more information about the customers that are clicking on their website and find out more about how to sell these vacuums that they need to sell. So I'm going to first of all click on Bullseye Customer Analysis, and that's our first Visboard here. And within a couple seconds, we're going to pull the data, we're going to query the data that is now in memory in our lens, and we're going to get sub-second interactivity with the visualization that we've created. And so now remember, we've taken this massive web clicks data set, and we've actually combined it together with our customer information. And so here we can go and we can see how are people visiting my website. So I've gone ahead and I've colored these different days of the week by whether they are a business day or a weekend. And if I wanted to go in and change the way that I'm slicing this data, instead of by coloring it by workday, if I wanted to instead color it by browser, I could just drop that in under fill color, and less than a second later, I've now broken this out by the browsers that people are using to visit the website. And so, you know, this is something that a lot of companies would do with a web analytics tool. But of course, in a web analytics tool, you're simply limited to web analytics data. If you wanted to bring together the customer data and maybe transactions at a later time or advertising at a later time, that's nearly impossible to do. And Platfora allows you to do it all right here in this interface. So now, of course, we're looking at Bullseye Lens here. So that's the lens that I previously created for us to use. If, as a business analyst, I had selected a grain of data that was maybe too coarse and I wanted to go and drill down and get more granular in my analysis, again, something that would cause me to go back to IT, I could right from here click the Edit button for my lens, and I could go in and I could change the dimensions and the metrics that I decided to add to that lens, click Build and Update, and a couple minutes later, I'd have that data available to me. Again, this is really empowering the business analyst, so they don't have to bring IT into the picture every time they want to change the questions that they have. I'll click Cancel from there, and you know, as we go through, we can see a couple different types of visualizations that we have. Of course, because we've combined together our customer information along with our web click data, we can tell on average whether we have more males or females visiting our website, the ages of these people that are visiting our website, etc. But now, as I'm trying to really drill in and understand the people that are visiting my vacuum section of my website, because I need to sell more of these special kind of vacuums, I'm going to go and I'm going to look at my analysis around product page views. For me at Bullseye, product description pages are the most important page that we have on our website. They are the kind of the home page of the product that people look at right before they put something into their cart. And now I've got this filtered down because this is summertime. I've already been looking at people looking at sports equipment on my website. There's a lot of people buying bikes and footballs and things like that. But I want to instead go over and look at vacuums. So I'm going to change the filter and go over to vacuums and floor care. And we'll see that the most popular vacuum on my website is that people are looking at is the Bissell clean view upright vacuum. And we can look at a variety of different metrics around this: total page views, total cart adds, total unique visitors, etc. Now, the particular vacuum that I'm really interested in selling more of is this RoboVac 20-inch robotic disc vacuum. You guys might have seen vacuums like this previously on the web. Now, my problem as a business analyst is I need to figure out how to sell more of these, or really how to target the people that are interested in this better. And so, as I look across here, I see that this vacuum's performing pretty well. My view to purchase rate is acceptable. It's not the highest. But if I wanted to go and understand more about those customers that are visiting these pages, I can go in, I can create a segment of people that have actually visited this page, and then I can use that segment to compare it in a further analysis. So I'm going to go over to my builder panel and select my visualization first. I'm going to add a segment, and I can add visitors to RoboVac. And I'm going to segment my registered users. So that data set that I brought in about users, I'm going to segment that data set. I'm actually going to create a new column on that data set, which is going to be reusable by everybody across the business once I've created it. And I'm going to select the conditions which will create this segment. I'm going to find people that actually went to the page on the website, which is the RoboVac page. I'll select that, click Apply, and if I click Save Segment, a couple minutes later, or a couple seconds later, that segment would be available to me. Now, I've already created that segment for us. It's down here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch over to a different visboard so that we can do our segment analysis. Now we can go down here, we can look at those segments. We've created our Bissell users, our RoboVac users, and our VacMaster viewers. Those were users that have actually come and recently looked at those pages. And I can take those segments, now I can compare them against different attributes, different metrics that I have in my data. So we're looking at the average age of Bissell users. So it turns out that my Bissell users are on average a little bit older. My RoboVac users are on average a little bit younger, except I do have this spike. I think we have some baby boomers that really are interested in having a RoboVac as a vacuum. And we'll also, if we go over here again, because we're combined together with our customer data, we can find that it tends that males really tend to like RoboVacs. And if I drilled a little bit further, and you can see, obviously, we've got an in-depth view of all the data, of all the demographic information we have, we'll actually find more information about the types of browsers that people are using, the times that people are visiting, et cetera. And we're able to send that to compile that information, send it over to marketing, and now target those users to get more people to come and look at RoboVacs on our website. Last thing I want to go over is looking at the use of custom metrics. Now, it tends to be fairly difficult for business analysts to create custom metrics across big data. So with Platfora, you can create custom metrics right here in the product. In this case, one of the metrics that I think is that is very important to Bullseye is this metric called transactivity. The long version of that is transaction to cart value ratio. And so here we're looking at transactivity, which would essentially mean, are people putting things in their cart and then actually purchasing them? And so people that have high transactivity are over here on the right-hand side of this, and up at the top, these are people that are spending a lot. By the way, I just want to stop for 1 second and say, if you look up at the top of the screen, you can see Lens for Blur demo build completed. So that was something that I did earlier in the demo, and now that data is available for me to use. So that process that just took a couple minutes to do is something, again, I want to emphasize would take a company typically weeks of time to months of time to be able to do. We built our own personal data mart there. So back to transactivity, I'm able to create those custom metrics right here in VisBoards by clicking Add Computed Field. And by using our expression builder, we can create this custom metric called transactivity, and a couple seconds later I click Save, and that's available to me down here as transaction to cart value ratio, and I'm using it right here in this BizBoard. So that's a fairly high-level overview of Platfora Big Data Analytics 3.6. I wanted to leave a couple minutes for questions, and so that's about it for the demo.
Yeah, this is really, really very fascinating stuff. I mean, it seems to me that what you're enabling is the kind of rapid-fire interactivity with multiple data sources that just opens all kinds of doors for the business analyst, right? Because in the past, like you say, if it takes even days, let alone weeks or months, to load new fields and new data sets and deal with modeling and all these other various activities, that stymies the creative process, the analytical process, and you guys have just opened up this really interactive environment for slicing and dicing and analyzing a whole range of data sets, big and small, in the time that it takes someone to just browse around in their web browser. So when you demo this stuff to prospects, is there a bit of a disbelief factor that you have to get over? Are people kind of surprised that you're able to do this stuff so quickly?
Yeah, you know, I think that's a great question. Many of our customers, they see a demo and then they think that, you know, maybe we're working on small data, or they think, oh, I could do this by using a traditional tool and simply by connecting via maybe a connector to Hadoop. And once they realize that we're able to get at all of the data in Hadoop, and we're not really making big data small here, what we're doing is we're accessing all of the data and getting deep down into the details, that blows their mind a little bit. And then thinking about the ability to change their lens, to be able to look at any data that is available down in the petabyte scale data of Hadoop, that really empowers the business analyst. They get addicted to it, and that's great for us, of course, because we get to continue to work with these customers and answer more of their questions.
All right, well, it's almost like a data virtualization layer with a whole workflow management process and a whole bunch of other functionality, kind of an end-to-end process built on top of that, right? So would you, just as an example, would you consider a data warehouse as a source, or do you just kind of go around all that?
You know, I think that it's important to note that data warehouses are important at any company. Some data warehouses are the source of truth, and a lot of those are not going to go away. And so we do consider data warehouses as a source. In fact, in Platfora 3.5, which was the version that came out just before this one, we introduced a new capability called data connectors. And what data connectors allow you to do is connect to virtually any data source. We include a generic RDBMS data source, but it's a framework to connect to other sources as well. We ship connectors to Salesforce.com and Zendesk and other SaaS tools as well. And so if you need to bring data together from these other sources, bring it into Hadoop to be able to analyze, we allow you to do that.
Okay, good. And what about Yarn compliance? You talked about sitting on top of Hadoop, so are you already Yarn certified?
Yes, absolutely. You know, Yarn was one of those great innovations in Hadoop that will allow you to run more than just MapReduce on top of a Hadoop cluster. And Platfora is Yarn certified. We are all of our jobs that we send over today are MapReduce v2 jobs. And then as we go forward, we are leveraging Spark as well, which is another processing component which will run on top of Yarn. Right.
Well, you've really identified an opportunity, it seems to me, to sit on top of these very powerful tools, and that really gives you a lot of latitude and a lot of breadth and a lot of depth. And you kind of commented before we hit the record button about how you were born in the Hadoop era. So you're not really tied to a lot of the legacy infrastructure and problems and constraints that are pervasive for most of the other enterprise software products that have been around for a while. Do you credit that as being a significant key advantage in your category? In other words, the fact that you have been born into this era and designed it specifically for Hadoop, that's a big advantage for you, right?
It is, and even more than being designed specifically for Hadoop, which we are, it's really the fact that Platfora is really this full stack product that spans from the work that somebody in IT would do to help get data sources available, through data preparation into getting data in memory, and then the full visual analysis that the business user would do. And our hero here at Platfora is the business user. We want to make them successful. Now, we feel like we've broken down some serious walls because of that full stack approach. We've broken down the walls that are holding back the business user, constantly having to call up the IT team to ask for something to be changed. We've given that power to them themselves. Now, we started this many years ago. We started this now 3 years ago, and at first, we were the only people out there that had this idea, and people thought, wow, this is an interesting approach. Could be very interesting. And for a couple years, we didn't see anybody else having that idea. But recently, we've started to see more proof points in the industry where people are trying to combine together data preparation tools along with a data warehouse and a BI tool. Now, the big difference, of course, is Platfora is completely integrated, allowing us to provide a better user experience, faster service between the raw data and the data all the way up to the business user, as well as collaboration capabilities. One of the things that we didn't talk about, Eric, is the ability to find anything in Platfora, any object that's interesting, and create a conversation about it. So
right.
If I were looking at a visualization, I clicked on a particular mark, and I wanted to create a conversation and bring a data scientist in the conversation and say, you know what, I might need a custom user-defined function to be able to analyze this, or what do you think about this? You can bring the data scientist in the conversation. They have access to Platfora. They can make some changes for you if you need. And then again, we're kind of like greasing the skids for this multi-structured data analysis that you can't do if you're trying to cobble together a bunch of individual pieces.
Sure. No, this has been great stuff. Well, folks, so big thank you to all of you out there for listening, and a big thank you to our friends at Platfora and Peter Schlamp. This is great stuff. It's a big part of the big data ecosystem. We'll catch up to you next time, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks.